bailouts of Chrysler and GM were messy. We had a great story today by Sharon Turlip on page 1 about how some people were left behind in the GM bailout. But what's done is done there. What's happening right now is that the car companies are really doing much better than the overall economy in the U.S., certainly much better than the overall economy in Europe. And Chrysler, just today they've announced that they're going to bring in a third shift at the Jeep plant in Detroit. They're going to build through the summer shutdown, 2 weeks of extra production. These are all good signs. This
so
is
the Fiat ownership, at least for now, appears to be working.
Absolutely, yeah, it appears to be working.
It appears the Fiat bailout, which many people were skeptical of, including myself. And I will say, I'm still skeptical of it.
Well, you had a good company. The Obama administration didn't think it was a good idea initially
They weren't
either.
so sure either.
Right.
Now, let's talk about the new product lineup. They got this, the small car, the 500, or what's it called? The
well,
there's
the Fiat 500,
yes,
which is the super tiny car.
Right.
But probably the more important car for Chrysler is the Dodge Dart, which is a compact car, mainstream, up against the Toyota Corolla.
I couldn't believe they brought that brand back. Frank, I was a little shocked. We did a story on that one, actually.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. But you know what? Establishing, no matter what kind of a brand identity you have with a name in the auto business,
very expensive.
It's very expensive to start something new, as Ford and others found out.
There is the new Dodge Dart, which, by the way, I'll say, looks nothing
No, the ones you remember. No, but it competes in one of the absolutely most important segments in this compact car market. It's growing. You have to be there. Dodge has not been there with a credible, or Chrysler has not been there with a credible product in years.
Can Detroit make the small car? I mean, this is something we've been debating now for a couple of years. You know, there's been a lot of emphasis on producing an economic, profitable small car in Detroit. I can't say that GM has been able to do it yet, although maybe they're making a go of it with the Cruze. I don't know about the Sonic. But can you make a profitable small car in Detroit?
They're still struggling with the profitable part. They've got the competitive part much better. The Cruze and the Sonic are the most competitive cars in that segment that GM has fielded in decades.
All right.
Ford's new Focus is very competitive, very well designed, well put together car. It's got some issues, but it's very competitive. I have not driven the Dodge Dart, but clearly the most competitive. So competitive on a product standpoint, yes. Profitable,
right. Right.
That's work in progress.
And is it because, is it a volume issue or is it still a cost structure issue? And by that, just hang on, you know, as you mentioned, we had that other fascinating piece about the UAW that Sharon Turlip wrote for today's paper. Very, very interesting, that pointed out that the UAW kind of drove a pretty good bargain for themselves when it came to restructuring both GM and Chrysler. Can the UAW cost structure as it stands today allow Chrysler and GM to make money on the small car?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And I would add this: they'll have to.
Right.
I mean, right now, what we understand is that the small cars, if you account for them fully the way you're supposed to, that they don't make money. Certainly at the bottom end. If you sell one for $26,000 or $27,000, maybe you do. But ultimately, the UAW has to make these competitive. Here's the trick. I mean, right now, a lot of the people in these plants, the old UAW, are still making sort of $28, $30 an hour, $25, $28 an hour.
Before benefits and before everything else.
But as those people, the legacy people, retire and new people are hired in, they're going to be making roughly half that amount of money. What has to happen for these companies to thrive over the long term is for the labor costs and all the other costs, because labor is still roughly 10%, maybe 15%, something like that, of total cost. Everything else has to be competitive as well. But they have to make it, because to get to 54.5 miles a gallon, you know, fuel economy standard in 2025, you're going to be selling a lot of small cars, and you can't lose money on them anymore.
Okay, let's turn to their stock prices. Not Chrysler, obviously, but in the case of GM and Ford. These companies have, even though they're making a lot more cars, they're hiring people back, stock prices have not been doing well at all. Is the management getting it right in terms of bringing people back online, or are investors getting it right that, you know, the recovery, at least on the car front, may be not as robust as the management at GM and Ford are thinking right now?
That's a tough one, but look, investors are a cold-eyed, flinty-hearted lot, and they're looking at this and they're saying, okay, we're not sure about the U.S. economy. We wonder if this is a bubble bump. kind of a thing where you're having a lot of people replacing old beater cars, but that runs out after a while. We need a real economy in the U.S. You look at Europe, it's a mess.
Right.
You look at Asia, it's competitive as heck, and these companies are not maybe as well situated as they should be in that market. I think a lot of this has to do with Europe, particularly for GM and Ford.
You mean the share price is not basic concerns over how much money's going into Opel?
And I'm not a technical stock analyst, but I add another point, which is that if you're an investor in GM, I think the uncertainty about when the government is going to unload their overhang of shares clearly is an issue. I can't tell you what the dollar per share issue is there, but it's clearly part of it.
What needs to be the annual run rate for car manufacturer in the U.S. in order for everybody to be happy? I mean, if you go back a few years to 05, 06, we had the 17 million SAR kind of level. That ain't coming back. I think, what are they talking about this year? 13 million?
14 million.
14 million this year.
And change.
And 14 million, is that enough for everybody to make a lot of money?
Everybody should be able to make a lot of money because they have I mean, look, they're making a lot of money. If you look at GM and Ford's North American results, they both made a lot of money in North America. I think overshot to some degree in terms of the performance. They're making a lot of money in North America. What you want to watch is, you don't want to see them start diversifying like they did back in the 90s, taking money that they're making and squandering it on bad decisions. You want to see them maintaining the discipline about keeping production in line with sales. If they do that, they're structured now. They are making money. They can make a lot of money as it goes up for 15 minutes.
They have to make money, according to, I think most observers, on the small cars going forward.
Ultimately, yeah.
Joe White from our Detroit Bureau.